Dave drive very safely, but quite quickly. During that transport, he educated me a lot around inkjet and its role and purpose in, particularly at that time, decor. And Dave is with us today representing Dantex, and I don't need to say any more, really. I know you're going to give us a great talk, Dave, and welcome to FuturePrint.
Brilliant. Thank
welcome
you,
back,
Marcus.
rather.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's see if we can get the technology to work. That'll do. The typeface says it all. The subject is far more important than the person delivering it. Presses have been looked at as assembly lines. So, give me eggs, give me cheese, give me broccoli, I'll make you an omelette. It's very simple. Give the same ingredients to a chef and he'll make you a souffle. It's the same in inkjet presses. We've got a limited number of printhead manufacturers. We've got a limited number of electronics manufacturers. We've got a limited number of drive motor manufacturers. But what we do have is endless possibilities on how to put them together. Well, what does that mean? Well, none of us are going to reinvent the wheel. No press manufacturer really wants to go out and have to develop his own print heads, his own electronics, his own. We're buying from a palette. So we're all working from the same palette. The thing is, you can get very different results. And there are presses which are better than others. A lot of manufacturers will make a standardized product, a vanilla product. It's the same for everybody. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually hit the sweet spot for anybody. The alternative is that we use a modular system. We take subcomponents, sub-assemblies, and we offer people the opportunity to put it together in a combination that suits what they want to do. It's not truly bespoke, but it's certainly not off the peg. Now, the problem with that, or the opportunity with that, is the software that we put with it. We can actually use the software, develop it in-house, and tune it for the individual user, for his application. You work backwards from the product that they want to produce. We can also add software, ink, and deliver a system. It's no longer about delivering machine. Historically, press manufacturers delivered a lump of metal, and they were pretty agnostic about which ink you put on it and which printing plates you put on it. They shifted you a bit of metal, and 20 years later, they come back and ask for another order. The world has changed. The beauty in going day two is I've had an opportunity to listen to 3/4 of the presentation so far. And we talked a lot about sustainability, recyclability, reuse. Unless I was asleep, not one person has talked about the sustainability or the reusability or recyclability of the printing process. We've only talked about the product that comes out the back end of it. Now, I'm very pleased to say that with hardware now and with software, we can extend the life of hardware a lot longer. There will be some parts which are wear parts, things like print heads. They'll need replacing. But the main lump of metal will go on for a long, long time. And so we can extend the life of it. So what? Well, what it means, you think, well, for a press manufacturer, that's bad news. No, it isn't. If we can extend the life of a machine, and we've heard a lot of people talk about total cost of ownership, we can reduce the cost of that cost of the machine. The amortization is now over a longer period, over many more labels or whatever it is that you're printing. So that investment can be extended. That comes down to affordability. We've said that one of the big objections is the price of the machine. So if we can now amortize it over 10 years instead of over 3 or 4, the cost comes down per produced item. I'm a dinosaur. I still drive a diesel. It doesn't make me a bad person, but 10 years ago, I was told I was saving the planet by driving a diesel compared to petrol engines. Today, I'm told I need to upgrade to electric to save the planet. When I looked at what's the upgrade for my car, because it's in perfect condition, no, you've got to have it crushed and buy a new electric car. I don't think that the contribution of global warming that I make with running my car is anywhere near the cost of a new car, the footprint that that's got. So I think sometimes we got this a little bit mixed up. Yesterday, I listened to the argument about the millennials and the Gen Zs. And anybody over 60, please stand up. Please stand. Because yesterday, we weren't represented. It was almost as if our opinion about sustainability didn't matter. Yet we're the generation that are blamed for causing the problems that we've got. We're also the generation that's actually got the most disposable income that could do something about it, and influencing our buying behaviours will have a bigger effect. I also looked at the faces of those stood up. They are the leaders in our industry. And the reason is they've got history. There are faces here who have been analogue printers and are at the forefront of digital. Many years ago, my grandmother gave me some advice, and at the time, I didn't understand. I just thought, silly old woman. But what she said was, if you don't know where you are, a map is no good to you. And if you don't know where you're going, any direction will do. I now understand what she meant. We are all involved in the transition from analog to digital. We're looking to help our customers on that journey. But if we don't understand where they are, and we don't understand where they need to be, how can we be a good guide and take them through that process? So don't discount the old ones amongst us. That knowledge, that experience of analog, is what digital is built on. We heard a lot about AI. I found out the I stands for intelligence because it doesn't stand for innovation. AI only works because it's got a database to feed on. If it hasn't got that database, it can't invent. What it's very good is taking all that data, sieving it, organizing it, and presenting an extrapolation. But without that database, it's nothing. So we rely on the existing database to innovate. As a chef, which is what we're doing when we're building a machine, we have to understand the technology. We have to bring those ingredients together. Now, at Dantex, we've got labels in our DNA. So 80% of the industry, still analog. So why, when we're the biggest supplier of analog printing plates in Europe, are we interested in converting that business to digital? It's because it's the right thing to do for some of the customers. But we understand our customers. But what it also means is that we've got a background of data. We've been dealing with analog customers for years. So we've got that metadata on which we can build, design machines, but also evolve those machines. And as we've got more data, and AI is going to help us here, we can build a machine that the operators are comfortable with. It's bespoke to them, the way they work, the way they innovate. We've got those people in-house now, people who 10 years ago we wouldn't have given desk space to because all they were doing was playing video games. But now they're leading the development of new software that's actually helping us take press, innovate, and then evolve. And that's the big thing. It's continuously changing. So, we're in a position to combine the best of analog with the best of digital. We've heard sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's quite true. Everybody has a different need. Sometimes people will want over-varnishing, so they'll need analog units, flexo units. Sometimes they'll want inline finishing. Sometimes they just want a simple digital printer. That's the beauty of having a modular system and a hybrid workforce. Having installed it, we then learn. We watch. We measure. We analyze using the very latest machine learning. And then we use artificial intelligence to improve. Japanese have been doing it for thousands of years. They call it Kaizen. They never invented anything. They copied very well. Sorry to anybody from Japanese companies here. But what they did is they improved and perfected. The Japanese never invented the motorcycle industry. And in fact, the first Japanese motorcycles, with greatest respect, were awful. But within a few years, they were winning major races. They didn't invent the digital camera. They copied, they improved, they perfected. Machine learning is doing the same. It can't innovate, it can't invent, it can learn and improve, and that's what we're doing now. Well, this was about labels. I know I went everywhere else with it. Even though we are passionate about the machines that we build, the thing that we're most proud of is what they produce. We are labels, we're very proud of it, and if anything I've said has touched you today, then please engage. If you haven't been touched by anything at all, then I think it's time for the old man to leave the stage. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you very much, Dave. Great talk, brilliantly delivered, and hope we see you again at a future.